James Khan is one of the UK's most successful and dynamic entrepreneurs. He's now taking this first-hand knowledge on the road to mentor 6 of the UK's most vibrant small to medium-sized enterprises. Will the young companies make the change or stick to their ways? The business class begins here. This week, Imagematch enters the business class. Let's look at the stats. Founded by Mark Gibson, the Shropshire-based social enterprise focuses on personalised recruitment and training for the unemployed. Mark has 2 challenges. Now it's up to James Khan and his industry experts to solve them.
Hello and welcome to the business class. Joining me in the studio to help advise Imagematch is Penny Newman, CEO of Platform 51, and Paul Saunders, who spent over 35 years with Lloyds TSB Commercial Finance and now runs his own consulting practice. We are moving up the SME scale this week. Imagematch has a turnover of £1 million. Let's find out more.
We actually approach employers, whether they be charities, SMEs or large private sector organisations, and we actually offer long-term unemployed the chance to go and work for these organisations. As a business concept, we don't actually charge employers. Because of the help that's actually out there, we actually charge that money back to the government for every time we actually get someone back into work. The way that business is structured and incorporated is forever evolving. How do we get the major investors, such as the banks, to recognise this Darwinian shift in approach and start investing and participating in businesses like ourselves?
In your opinion, is this a viable proposition that's fundable from a bank?
Right now, no, it would be very difficult for him to get money to raise £150,000 to grow his business, unless he starts to look at other ways in which he can generate revenue.
I've got 2 real issues here. Number one, he could go and raise debt. The question is, how does the business service the debt? Or he could go and raise private equity, but the challenge in private equity is, where does the investor make his return?
What comes to mind is something that I picked up, which was called sort of patient lending. And I don't mean hospital lending, but I mean actually just being patient with a business. And I think
I like that.
These companies are saying, we'll be in for the longer haul.
Okay, so I suppose what we're really saying is, good proposition, good social impact, not very transparent in terms of how he communicates that, probably not investment ready today, probably needs a little bit more scale and needs to refine that proposition so both the institutions and the market get it much easier.
How does Imagematch, as a profit-for-purpose social enterprise, win its fair share of public sector and private sector welfare-to-work contracts to increase its impact on industry and business as a whole?
What he probably needs is to move into the private sector and widen that market opportunity, because not only does he increase his customer base, but also the fee structure could virtually double. Very high touch, high quality training, mentoring. Recruitment companies don't do that. No. I mean, essentially, they place people into jobs. I think he's providing that added value service. That should be chargeable. So Penny, if you had to come up with one clear tip on how Mark wins a corporate customer, what would your advice be?
My advice would be to demonstrate why he's the best in class in getting their recruitment and getting the right people, getting the right talent. And that brings me to my second point. I don't like the name of the company, because
I don't think it does what it says on the tin.
No, it doesn't. And also matching. Actually, as an employer, I want talent that's going to go beyond matching what I want. I want them to deliver match plus, or talent plus, or skills plus. It's the plus as well as what's the actual angle of what he's delivering.
You really want him to stand out amongst that crowd. Let's bring Paul in. So Paul, give me one specific tip that we could give to Mark that's going to help him win that corporate customer. What is it?
I'd like him to appeal to their CSR, whatever size they were. I really would. Their corporate social responsibility. Go in and talk to them about what a fantastic job he's doing to get young, unemployed, longer term unemployed back into the workplace, and really sell that to them.
Mark's been listening to our discussions, but will he agree on what we've said so far and make the changes necessary? Let's bring him in and find out. So, Mark, you've been listening to us in the studio. What are your thoughts?
A lot of the comments have been fantastic, and I really do take them on board.
Well, welcome to the business class.
Well, thank you. And we'll be following them. I do have a couple of questions, however, about some of your comments.
Sure.
One of them is about charging employers for our services, similar to recruitment agencies. Whereas, as at the moment, we actually use one or two recruitment agencies to find us the vacancies. So therefore, straight away, we actually go into competition with the hand that also feeds us as well.
That's very interesting. So you actually use recruitment agencies to identify client opportunities.
As well, yes.
And how do you recognise or pay them for that?
We don't pay the agencies at all. We, again, that contract through the government is back through to ourselves, so we can actually still invoice the government.
And what about, Mark, having a sort of conventional recruitment model, you know, attached to the business, where you're dealing with the more conventional end, where you're charging much bigger fees? Because remember, you already have the cost base. It's about leveraging that cost base that you've already invested in.
Yes, one of the things I'll be doing straight away is actually looking at names to see about having a set sort of recruitment agency to run alongside Imagematch and basically self-feed.
What was the other thoughts that you had from the conversation?
One of the amusing things that we heard in the back was about the change of name.
I think Penny wants to see it doing what it says on the tin.
Yes.
And I think that's probably not coming across, you know, as vibrant as we probably would like. What did you think of Penny's idea in terms of the name?
Well, we actually liked a couple of the names. Unfortunately, we have actually already investigated some of them. But also, when you're trying to go for these names, it's also trying to buy the URL, the website.
Absolutely.
I think tomorrow you start preparing the business for a lender to see something that's sustainable over a two-year time frame.
Well, let me give you my final thoughts. I think what Mark has done in terms of social enterprise, helping the unemployed find full-time employment, I think is a fantastic service to the community. What I'd like to do is see that business now scalable and, most importantly, bankable. I think the way to do that is to get those margins far greater than they are at the moment, and how he's going to do that is to ensure that he broadens that market so the only customer is not the government.
First thing I'm going to do tomorrow is look at the business plan, how we can actually evolve the business plan to ensure that it's actually fit for purpose, so that when lenders or investors look at Imagematch in its current guise, they actually understand the business and feel it's actually a bankable business.